You're very welcome to Tipp GAA TV 2022, and it's all about to kick off in the Tipperary Club Championship. I'm delighted to be joined here with two of the midfield maestros of the last 10 years. And lads, are you keeping fit still?
Yeah, doing a small bit, very small bit now. Since the minor is over, gone back doing a small bit just to keep out and about. But so keeping fit anyway, I suppose.
Good stuff, Woody. And it is, of course, James Woodlock and Shane McGrath. I'm Stephen Gleeson. We're going to be looking ahead to all the matches that are on the horizon this weekend for Tipp GAA TV. 4 live games coming up, 1 Friday evening from the stadium, 2 on Saturday, and 1 on Sunday. And we'll go through those in a minute. And lads, you're very welcome to Tipp GAA TV.
Thanks, Stephen.
So we'll just say first off, Woody, congrats. You know, what's it been like the last while being an All-Ireland winning manager?
Sure, it's great, Stephen. You know, the first week, I suppose, it was difficult. Actually, the first week after winning was difficult because you had loads of people to thank and get back, and it was hard to come down off it. It was such a big build up to it and the way it finished and so on. And then I suppose you have the celebrations after it and the formalities and the homecoming you have to go through. And then got together on the Monday with the management team and that. And for the rest of the week, then, you know, we did a lot of chatting among ourselves and so on like that. And to be honest, it was the following Sunday. Myself and my wife, Michelle, we sat down around 7 o'clock in the evening and went back and watched the match. And that was the only time that I was back kind of down to earth, that I was actually able to watch the game again. I had watched a couple of the highlights throughout the week that might flick up on social media, or I might have went and looked at it for myself on YouTube to see how the game finished and that. But it was coming from an awful high, you know, back down by the following Sunday, back down to earth, and just thinking of what we had done and what we had achieved, and just delighted that the hard work had paid off, you know, and for ourselves and the players. You know, obviously the players are front and centre of everything, but they wouldn't have got there without the backroom team and the management, you know, kind of guiding them as well. And it was a collective effort from the entire group. You know, there was the guts of over 50 of us involved in it. And just delighted all the hard work paid off. And it was the following week, got to sit down, enjoyed watching it back. Obviously, I knew the results, so I could enjoy it, but I was still on the edge of my seat. Michelle was even videoing me. I was still on the edge of it, you know what I mean?
It was magic, brilliant times, and, you know, a great finale for the Tipp Championship showing this year. So well done to you on that, James. And Shane, you were involved with teams all the last few years, and we're looking ahead to this time round, Friday evening, start of the championship. All the club teams in Tipperary, they're eagerly awaiting this one. Our live game on Tipp GAA TV on Friday evening is Killadangan against Lockmore Castleiney, 7:30 in the stadium. I'm on commentary with Sarah Friday. Shane, this is going to be a belter, a repeat of the county final a couple of years ago with two, you know, real big titans of Tipperary club hurling.
Oh yeah, absolutely, Stephen. And I think I honestly do feel this year with the Dan Breen in particular, and even the way divisions have gone, I really do think that we have finally got a really good county championship, or even divisional thing. Even if I take, for example, the North Premier Intermediate, I think 2 games went extra time, 1 game went to penalties. It just shows how even everybody is. And I just think that the 16 teams in each is brilliant. And I have to credit everyone involved for the way that has been set up. It's taken a little bit of time, but I think we have really, really competitive championships. That's the first thing. The second thing, Stephen, is I think at Dan Breen level this year, you know, whether it's, you know, you have some of the top teams have players missing through injury or you know, being in America at the moment. I think for the first time, you know, you have a spread of teams that can really, really, really win the Dan Breen. I mean, Lockmore are obviously one of the top teams in it, like, you know, and they have year in, year out been brilliant. But I mean, to take John McGrath out of that, to take Kieran Connolly, who might be missing for some time, Ed Connolly with his injury, like, there are 3 massive players who are missing. Look at Killadangan. I look at Killadangan there with Willie Connors injured. You know, they have a couple of guys in America. I think Billy Seymour's away, Decky McGrath. So I honestly do feel like that the games at the weekend, that anybody could win the games. Like, I really do feel that, you know, because of who's missing and who's not. And even with Thurles, like, and I'm sure Woody would agree, for years and years, Stephen, teams planned on how do you avoid Paddy Maher. And now that Paddy is not there, maybe teams can feel like there's an avenue we can go down now. Because I even know myself from kind of being involved with a team and you're trying to plan against Thurles. You just could not poke the ball down to where Paddy Maher was because you knew 9 times out of 10 he's going to win it. So now that Paddy is gone, someone else from Thurles will have to step up. So look, while you're on the game Friday evening and the game double game Saturday and Sunday, I honestly do feel that it's very hard to call like who's going to win these games, because I think it is a very, very level playing field at the moment. And look, that's where I'm coming from, I suppose, looking from an intermediate club point of view. I'm not involved in any of the teams, but I'm just looking from the outside to say I think it is a very, very level playing field, whether maybe Woody would agree or not with that. I think that 5-6 teams have genuine can say that, look, we have a real chance of winning Dunbreen this year. Like,
Woody?
Yeah. For me, the structure, as Shane has alluded to already, is it's much fairer on teams that would have struggled for years to try and get up to the top level. It's much fairer now. You're competing in a category that you can compete in and you have a chance. And then, look, Shane has said it already, there's so many teams now that can go and win it. And you throw the likes of what Brackens did there 2 weeks ago. You throw the Swan after having a huge win over a Dunbreen team, against Mullinahone. So the level is good, but the level is also good in the Premier intermediate down along. And it all bides well going forward for Tipp hurling to make it strong, make it competitive, and keep players playing the game and not wanting to go somewhere else, because you get pulled into a draw there with a couple of the big teams and you know that you're having the hope for the last couple of years. Well, now you're in a division that you know that you can compete in, and there is a lifeline at the end of it, let's say, and there's light at the end of the tunnel. So, as Shane said, like, all the groups are really competitive. All of them. No matter what group you go through, it's really difficult to see, that you put your house on whatever teams come out. You just can't do that. And obviously, I think the likes of Thurles have come back into the pack a lot more. Their county champions have their injury problems, and then you have Kildangan have their injury problems now, but are still right up there. And then Nina will be really delighted that they've come through in our championship as well, because it gives those teams that have come through their divisional championships a free run really at the county championship, because they all know that they're there in a preliminary quarter final one way or the other. But I do think the weekend is the most important round of games that we're going to see in the championship this year. From the point of view, it's your first game. You want to get off to a good start. If you don't, you're under pressure straight away, because all the teams are that competitive now in the groups.
Yeah, and you mentioned the other teams in that group. They're being competitive as well. You have Kildangan and Lockmore, 7:30. That's our live game Friday. Éire Óg are in that, and JK Brackens, they're playing Clonoulty at 2:30 the following day. And Carty took a couple of scalps over the years there. Sarsfield's 1 year, and JK Brackens going into it as mid-champions. So, like, the 4 teams in that group, anyone could be the winner.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone can be the winner. And Brackens are probably the ones going in, really delighted with that, because they are already guaranteed they're through. And they can have a free cut off Éire Óg. Now, Éire Óg never die. They'll stay in the fight the whole time. They will have been disappointed with their showing, though, in the West Final, Stephen, because if you look at the Clonoulty team, they were down an awful lot of players, and a lot of players in the Clonoulty club had to step up, maybe from their junior team into the senior team. So they will have been disappointed with that one. So I think it's a massive game for Éire Óg here to try and come through. Brackens have their tails up, hurling well, loads of confidence, good manager over good management team, and going well into football as well. Got to that league final, which was huge for them. So, anyone can come out, but I do think Brackens are riding the crest of a wave at the moment, and I think it'll be a difficult job for Éire Óg to try and break them down. But they've broken down bigger teams than that before. They've taken Sarsfields out 4 years ago now over in Dundrum, which was huge, and they're a club with huge character. So there's going to be very little bit between them. But Brackens are coming in already knowing they're through, where every other team in that group will have to come through, because Kildangan were beaten, obviously, so were Lockmore, and so were Éire Óg. So they're fighting for their lives in that first game. Yeah,
and your minor colleague there in the backroom team, part of that Éire Óg team, of course, Conor O'Brien and Eamon Corcoran, the manager there with Brackens. That's in the first group that we've looked at with our live game Friday night. Kildangan and Lockmore gets it all underway. The next one we look at there is Group 3. And Shane, you're doing that commentary on Saturday in Thurles at 5:30 with Paul Jenkins. Mullinahone against Tummyvara. in Group 3, and the other two teams in that meet the same day in Clonolty. That's Upperchurch against Holy Cross at 2:30, or at 4 o'clock rather, in that in Clonolty. But the live game, Mullinahone and Tummyvara, again, it's a huge one for both teams to get off the mark, as James was saying. That first win is so big.
Yeah, it is. And I suppose Mullinahone, like they were, every game that they played, and I've seen them a few times last year, they seem to grow in confidence, and they seem to love playing in the stadium. And every day we've seen them, they went out and they were growing in confidence. They were playing better. They were enjoying the games more. I don't think there seems to be the same kind of momentum or the same kind of buzz about them at this year so far. Now, maybe they'll open up in Thurles at the weekend, but they didn't play well against Carrickswan in the South final. Whether that was Carrickswan didn't allow it to play well, or Mullinahone, it just didn't happen for them. I know there's one or two guys. It's kind of funny. It's a kind of a limbo time for the club, and until the matches get going now. And maybe Woody would agree. Like you've lads have kind of maybe still on holidays. You've lads who got injured and are finding it hard to get over injuries. So I think a lot of clubs are in the same kind of situation, that they maybe haven't had everybody at training because of holidays or because of injuries. And I suppose you're coming to a key 3 or 4 week period now where you're going to get 2 games in 4 weeks, and you need to have everyone at the pitch and everyone there. So I think for Mullinahone, maybe they haven't had the whole group together for a consistent basis of time for challenge games, whatever it is. And that leads into performances then. And they didn't perform well in the South final. But as Woody said, well done to Carrickswan. Absolutely brilliant victory for them and thoroughly deserved. I think Tummyvara, there's so much talent there as well for Tummyvara. Such a traditional team. But I suppose they're kind of at a stage now where they kind of need to maybe push on and get out of groups, maybe push on and have a big win in a quarter final for the club to say, yeah, we are making progress. So I think on Saturday you have Mullinahone and Toom, both teams going into Semple Stadium feeling, yeah, we can beat Toom, and Toom saying, yeah, we can beat Mullinahone. So, how it's going to go, I don't know. I hope Mullinahone wear their really, really nice camouflage jerseys. I really like those jerseys. I think they look class on them, and I think they play well in them. And so, it's interesting, I suppose, see Owen still corner forward, Stephen, hitting the freeze there the other night in the South final, still causing hassle, still taking mind at 40 years of age. But I think Owen would even agree himself that he needs the younger guys now to step up again and to push the thing on. And, while he will do his bit, whether that's on frees or getting off balls, being assists, the rest of the younger guys from Mullinahone, especially in a field like the stadium, they need to start making use of it. So I think if Mullinahone can bring that and maybe get to that, back to that pitch as well, I would fancy Mullinahone to get the first victory in that group. And like Stephen, that's a group that 4 teams in it, they'll all fancy beating each other. They will, no more so than they did last year. So as Woody said, first game is massive. Gives massive confidence to the group. You're buzzing going in training. A majority of clubs will probably have maybe a down week that they won't be playing football. And, you're getting ready for round 2. And, I suppose your destiny's in your hand. But, yeah, Mullinahone too. I'm really looking forward to their Saturday. And I just think if Mullinahone can get it right, I would fancy them to get the victory, all right.
And Woody, in that group as well, Upperchurch against Holy Cross, 2 mid teams, neighbouring parishes. You've heard many times against both. That's going to be, anyone's game as well. Upperchurch will probably be favourites, but Holy Cross a coming team.
Yeah, Holy Cross a coming team, but a bit like Shane, they'll need to push on, because if they don't get a win in that first game, I do fear for Holy Cross across all 16 teams for the year ahead. I seen them against Kerky, and I thought they could have been better. I thought they'd have shown a bit more. So they're a team that have huge underage talent coming through. They had a few under-county minors, a few under-county 20s. Their under-19 team, I've seen them recently. The under-17 team are flying it. Underage structure's really good, but they need to hold up. They need to get the win against Upperchurch the weekend for those younger players coming through. Upperchurch would have been disappointed to be knocked out of the mid-championship by Brackens. Brackens were better on the day, but Upperchurch always have high aspirations for themselves. So, again, could do with a win here. So, all games like Mullinahone and Toom, in that, the last time Mullinahone has played in the stadium have performed really well. Actually, every time they go to the stadium, perform really well, but they really dumped Tummyvara out last year in a whimper. Toom going in, I think they were top of the group going in, Shane, if I'm right. Can you remember that? Into the same last year.
Yeah, but the score difference, that they lost by so much,
Lost by so much. I got an awful clip. And other than that, like, they were top going into that game. And look, then Holy Cross will need a huge shift here. They're going to need a huge shift to try and get it over Overchurch. Overchurch are the bounce back team for me. They can take a loss one day and come out the next day and perform really well, and we know what they're capable of. And have some young players that they're after introducing the last couple of years, like Luke Shannon, Pat Ryan, and so on like that. So they are coming, but they will need a win here again the weekend, because they lost the last day out. So the Holy Cross of Bowman in the same boat, 2 losses coming into this game, and for me, winner will take all, because the group is so tight. You get a win in this group, the next day it sets you up. You lose, I think you're under awful pressure going in. That's for all teams, but especially in this group, because this group of all 4 teams, every one of them think that will feel that they have a chance of beating each other. And for me, both clubs are going to have to stand up at the weekend and put their best foot forward here to try and get a win in the first round of the championship.
Great stuff. Well, Mullinahone and Toom is live on Tipp GAA TV, 5:30. Paul Jenkins and Shane McGrath there on commentary for that one. And then at 7, it is Borrisoleigh against Thurles Sarsfields. Woody, you're on commentary for that one. And Shane, they're 2 of the favourite teams for so many people, really. Borris look to be really strong. They have Mikey Beavens there as part of their backroom team, and, you know, former Galway manager. Sarsfields, we all know what Sarsfields are like. Keane Tracy is in as a coach. Paddy is part of their backroom team now as well. So that's a massive game, Shane.
Oh, it is, and it's a big year for Thurles, because I suppose just from looking on from the outside, a lot of the time, you know, Paddy was their go-to man, and, you know, he was the guy who kind of won that dirty ball or made that catch and won a free and calmed the whole thing down for him and allowed the rest of them to hurl, and, you know, provided a quality ball in. And it's a big year for them to see how can they manage without Paddy, and it's an opportunity for someone in the Thurles defence to step up. Ronan has been doing it for a long time now as well. So, but as I said, when you played Thurles, one of your main things was avoid Paddy at all costs, whether that's at 3, at 5, 6, or 7. You must avoid Paddy, and it is an opportunity for someone else in the Thurles defence, or, you know, someone to step up to say, look, I'm going to take it on now, and I'm going to be the player that you have to avoid. And whoever that will be, you know, it's big boots to fill, but, you know, it's great. I think it's great for Thurles to have Paddy there on the sideline, offering advice, you know, calming the thing down when it needs to be calmed down, you know, maybe seeing something that as a player, you know, that maybe someone else mightn't see. So that's massive for them that Paddy is still involved as well. Borrisoleigh, for me, didn't get anywhere near to the pitch that they got to when they got to the All-Ireland Club final, whether that was through injury or just momentum or form. I was in Thurles last year. I looked at, you know, top class players from the year before, and the likes of Devaney, Kieran Maher and these guys, and it just didn't happen for him, Stephen. We were there one day and those 2 guys got taken off, and I think even was it Kieran Maher that got sent off in one of those games. Yeah. I think it was against Mullinahone, wasn't it? Totally out of character stuff. And I think that just boils down to frustration and just things not happening and just not clicking for the group. I think this year Brendan is training all the time because, you know, he's stepped away from the intercounty thing. Having him at training alone every single night to drive on the standards, to drive on the younger lads, to say that this isn't good enough, that's not acceptable, that's massive. And I think if Borris get their best team on the pitch and, you know, have that momentum and have that confidence in themselves that we've seen from a few years ago when they got to an Ireland Club final, I do think Borrisoleigh, with the group that they have and, you know, the management team that they have as well, and I honestly do think they will take beating. And I do fancy Borris to win this at the weekend for all those reasons, and that having all their best players available, having them all there on the pitch, they're all a year older now as well, more experienced, and I just think that they're coming with and if they can get a win, that they could build momentum, and who knows, that they could find themselves, you know, becoming one of the top teams in it. So I really fancy Borris for the win this year, but for in this weekend, I also really fancy Borris going really, really far in Dan Breen this year as well. Okay, we'll get a prediction game going, Shane. So Borris are your tip anyway at the moment? Yeah, they are. Yeah. Borris, it's Borris for me at the moment. Yeah. Good stuff. And the other game in Group 2 is Templederry against Drummond in Borrisoleigh at 7:30. That's on Friday evening. And Shane, that is going to be a huge game as well. You're up there between Templederry and Drum, and you know that area really well, and both those teams are strong. Well, look, I don't think I could be any more vested in it, Stephen. I mean, I'm living in the parish Templederry. My wife Joanne is from Templederry. My brother is the manager of the Templederry team. And where we seen what the joy it brought to the place, like the lift it gave to the place last year, winning Seamus Serene. It was unbelievable the night in the village. We took the lads up, and obviously with Cormac involved as well, no more so than he was at Woody. He's a very experienced manager now. He has a great CV put together. And what the lads did with the minors, it was just unbelievable stuff. And just quickly on the minor thing, not to talk about too much, but it was no surprise for me that those boys won that All-Ireland final in the manner that they did, because of the manager that they have, because of the backroom team they have. I know the work that those guys put in, and the never say die attitude. And look, that's one of my top sporting memories of all time, has been down in Nolan Park to witness that day. So look, you can't take for granted the lift that gave the county as well. So I know Woody doesn't know I'm black blowing smoke up his arse here, and that we mean all those things, because they're a fantastic group. But look, Cormac, I'll be honest, Stephen, look, Cormac and Timblederry realised that this is a massive step up. And, I know Drummond Inter going well, that they didn't perform to the top level that they could in the mid-final. Just from watching on the streaming and all that, they just never really got going. Whether that was Brackens didn't allow them and the heat that was there that day, I don't know what it is. But look, I do think that Drum are in a good place. And look, Timblederry realised that success this year for them will be to try and get a result. And they're in a very, very difficult group to try and do that. They'll go out and do their best. But, let's be honest, call a spade a spade. If Drum come and they get a performance, Drum are going to win this game. And Timblederry will just hope that they can get something out of the 3 games, because it's a massive, massive step, Stephen, from Seamus Serene to Dan Breen. And then to get the group that they got, it's an even more difficult task. So, look, Timblederry will go all guns blazing. Cormac and his backroom team, Timblederry, they'll give it everything. But I do think that Drum are a really good farm team. And look, Woody as well, I have to say, I think the physical shape that your boys are in at the moment, I looked at a picture of them before the league final against Clowney. I think they're in tremendous shape, Woody. I really do, physically as well. And, that will help them. And if there's one player I'm really looking forward to see play this year, and I think he's been very, very good for you, I think Podge Campion is a guy that could push on, and we could see him in a blue and gold jersey, sooner rather than later. So I'm really looking forward to see how this guy performs as well throughout the group. But look, I think Drum are in a good place, and Shamey's getting back up as well. He's performed well, worked really hard in the mid-final. I think the more games Shamey plays, I think the better he's going to be as well. So look, yeah, I'm looking forward to those games as well.
Woody?
Yeah, I think the group as a whole, if I take the first match first, for me, personally, Shane has already stated it there, but they haven't got back up to anywhere near they've been when they won their county final, the Munster final, and beaten in the All-Ireland final. They were tremendous that year, but momentum is huge, and Shane said it already. I feel the momentum for any team coming in is absolutely massive. It's better than conference, because you have a whole parish united around a common cause, and they had it that year. They need to get back to that, because they have the hurlers, but we did expect maybe the likes of JD to come through and Kevin Maher to come through and so on, but they never did. And to be honest, they've gone backwards, if anything, from what I've seen in the last 2 years. So they will have to come again. They're a big, physical, powerful team in tremendous shape. Angelo Wells worked with them a couple of years ago, and they're a powerful team. They're big in the air. They can play it anyway. Pace is probably an issue for them. If I was looking at them, I would say pace is the biggest issue, and that is what Thurles will bring. However, Paddy Maher can't be replaced. He's worth 3 players on a field. So if you have the likes of the Kennys inside, whether it's Niall or Connor or whoever it may be, they're huge men in the air. You're going to put Rowan probably on one of them, and Paddy would have been on the other, but that's not the case now. So I think Bursley do have an advantage there. I think if they can get the players that we've mentioned back up to pace, the likes of Kevin Maher and Kenny and Eddie Ryan will need another big year for them. All them players coming, because they have the talent coming through underage as well. But with Brendan back, Dan back now for the last while again, I give them a massive shout. Something like Shane. Looking forward to that game. I think that's a big game for Saracens without Paddy coming in. But Saracens again have proven over the years they have a massive amount of talent, abundance of talent inside. But it will be a big physical team against a hurling team, and that's the way it's going to be the weekend. And I think probably Bursley do have the edge, but I'm looking forward to see how Saracens will have transitioned to go away from the Paddy Maher era and see what they can bring, who can stand up for them, or have they somebody to stand up. They had a couple under 21s or under 20. So I'm hoping that they'll bring something to the table as well. And I do think it's a big year for Thurles. They'll have been really disappointed last year. They were 7 or 8 points ahead a lot more, I'd say, after 20, 25 minutes in the drawing game. I mean, and let the whole thing slip really, and were pegged back by Lockmore, and obviously we know what Lockmore went on to do after that. So I think that game, looking forward to it, because I think both teams need to get back to the pinnacle of their powers, and they'll have an opportunity to do it. And whatever team wins, I expect them to push on. Whatever team loses, then is going to get into a dogfight in that second game to come through. Then with Drum and Templederry and knowing Cormac, Cormac will be eyeing up the Drum game. There's no question. Templederry took a bad beating to Borrisley last year, Shane. Am I right in that, in the North Championship last year, early on in the time?
Yeah. And even Nina this year,
year.
So yeah.
So if Cormac and his management team are looking at a game to see how they can get out, obviously the first game is so important, but I think Drum is the best draw for them actually in that regard, because Drum were beaten the last day. However, Drum are in fantastic physical shape, but they are going to need to play for more than 20 minutes or 25 minutes that we did against Brackens the last day, because Tipperary will try and get this game down to the last 10 or 15 minutes, and they'll feel they have a chance then. I actually give them a fighting chance in the game, and that's the truth, because knowing Cormac, knowing the quality of coach he is, and knowing the players that Tipperary have and the pride they have up there and what they brought to the Seamus Arena last year, that match last year in the stadium, they were absolutely top class. Coached really well, number one, but showed huge desire for the game, number two. They'll be hurting after the Nina game, also the last day. So coming into the Drum game, if there was any game in the group that they are going to target to try and win, it has to be the first game to get something out of it. And I think Drum are going to have to be at the pinnacle of their powers to play maximum to get something out of the game. They'll have been disappointed. Drum are disappointed after what happened the last day, so they'll be hurting a bit and trying to get back for a small bit of revenge. But I think if Tipperary go hard at it, they'll try and get down to less 10 or 15 minutes to try and bring Drum into a dogfight. But if they can't do that, then the possibility is Drum could pull away. They were 6 points clear and 7 points clear of Brackens, but never closed the game out. So that'll be a huge learn that I'm sure they'll take into the next game.
Great stuff, lads. There'll be some cracking Shanahan's at Borrisley with all the Drum and Tipperary lads meeting in the next few days. Shane, I know you're leaving us very shortly. Just a quick word on the Group 1 live game that we have in Thurles on Sunday. James Barry is on co-com for it. It is Clonoulty Rossmore against Nina. And Nina, on a high after that north win, Shane.
Yeah, they are, Stephen. It was fantastic win for them. And I think what we've seen from Nina, maybe that we hadn't seen in previous years, maybe was they never give up the ghost. Oftentimes maybe they, Kildangan 5, 6 points up, and then it might become 7, 8, 9 points handy enough. And, they had to send an off. But they really, really did stand up, and Jake, that goal he got, just how he manufactured it, I suppose, shows the maturity of player that he is, that just to have the wherewithal and the hurling know-how to get that shot off was brilliant. Incredible goal, really was. I suppose it was bittersweet in the fact that, their captain and one of their real leaders on the field, Barry Heffernan, seems to have picked up a season-ending injury, and we believe it's his ACL ligament. You might correct me if I'm wrong there now, lads, with that. So he's a massive, massive loss. You still see Huey coming on and making a difference. Will maybe Huey have to slot in now and in a starting position, and that kind of takes away the impact he can have when he comes onto a game, and that he might have to start the game now. So it'll be interesting to see how Nina fill that void of Barry Heffernan at the weekend. And I suppose Woody has said it already, Clonoulty are, they're not the same team as they were. Players have stepped away. So we all know that Timmy is now hurling in a club championship in Dublin. So he's a massive loss, because lads, if you go down through one of the most consistent club hurlers in Tipperary for the last 20 years, Timmy Hammersley is up there, top 5 scoring wise, what he brings to the game, the passion he has to play for Clonoulty and everything. And he has stepped away, so he's a massive loss as well.
He was the heartbeat of it, Shane. Yeah,
almost equal to the loss that Paddy will be for Thurles. It's the same with Timmy, because what he does from frees and open play as well. So I think you have two teams coming in there now that, both in a kind of, I suppose, a transitional period, if you want to say it, Stephen, that, Nina are there, Johnny Kelly is there. He's a serial winner. He has instilled a real bit of steel, a bit of belief in him. Barry will be a loss, but they'll have to regroup. Clowney the same, coming in off the back of a West win where they really had to, go to the bottom of their panel almost, like, to try and get lads in and even bring lads back from their junior panel and try and do it. So, but it just shows, I suppose, the pride you have with that club, that they all love being from Clowney. They all love playing for Clowney. So it's a very, very hard one to call. It really, really is. But I do think that Nina, with the confidence they would have got from, winning that North, and even without Barry Heffernan the next day, I think that they have enough young talent there to do it. And I just think Clowney may be down a few guys that they are down for one reason or another. I think that Nina will come in and Johnny Kelly will come in with a plan, a really good plan for them to try and, maximise the potential they have, Stephen. And I would fancy them to get over Clowney at the weekend.
Great stuff, Shane. Thanks for your time today. And Woody, looking at it, that game is massive. The other game in Group 1, the same. It's Kilruane McDonough's against McCarthy Borris, and that's in Temple-Derry, 6:30 Saturday evening, so just the evening before. That's another huge one.
Yeah, another huge game. And to be honest, I've been impressed with McCarthy, maybe more so last year than this year, but they've always got the group of debt in the county championship. For whatever they've done to somebody, they've always got the group of debt that they've got pulled into. But they have serious hurlers out there, you know what I mean? And winning the 21 last year, Stephen, was huge for them as well. They have a huge crop of players. Willie Ryan is their coach from Toon, getting on really well out there. They like him, and he likes to set up. He's brought the club together, really, as far as I'm concerned. And would have been disappointed, I suppose, with the loss of Drum were better on the night. There's no question of that. But I think this is one where Willie, from the north as well, he'll know Kilruane inside out. Kilruane are a good team, big panel of players that you can delve into, have played on the big stage for the last couple of years, came up short, but has always been thereabouts. The year that Borris won the county final, myself and yourself were on commentary, and I think it was the county semi-final. They were so close, had hurled so well all year. Eamon O'Shea was involved with them, and they've kind of come, but just failed to get over the line. But I think it's a year that McCarthy have to stand up and get take a scalp, to push the club on, especially after winning that under 21 last year. There's huge pride in the club out there, as there is in Kilruane, but I think Kilruane probably have a bit too much for them if they all show up, if they galvanise around themselves after getting beat in the North final or in the North semi-final. But that went the whole way. To be fair to them, that went the whole way again, and barely pipped at the post in by Killadangan. So coming back in, I think probably have too much for McCarthy Borris, but McCarthy are a team, that if you can get a run, the likes of Kyle Shelley, Max Hackett, all these, they have serious players, and for once, I think they really have galvanised in the last 2 years around their manager and Willie, the coach, the backroom team, and are hurling well, are enjoying their hurling. I watched them training last Sunday as well before Drum Intermediates played, and they're going well. I think they're going to have a really good crack at this. I think it's going to be a great game. I just think Kilruane might have a bit too much.
Great stuff. And they did win that North final a few years ago under Liam O'Shea and McCarthy, as you said, with that underage talent just coming through. So that'll be a great game Saturday evening in Temple-Derry. Clonoulty and Nina is our live game on Sunday, 1 o'clock, live from Semple Stadium, Thurles. And James, right across the 4 groups there, you mentioned maybe Holy Cross as a team you'd fear for, but there's so much even matches in store there. It looks like just a fantastic Danbreen.
It does, Stephen, it does, absolutely. And look, with the intercounty set up the way that Tipp were knocked out early, I think people have a huge grow for this championship coming up. Anyone I speak to just can't wait for it to get going, to get back out, get going to games. And obviously, for the new manager in now, he has ample opportunity to get to all these games for himself and his backroom team, and it'll be huge. Our under-20s this year seem beaten in a multi-final, really competitive. The minors win All Ireland, a new management set up in Tipp now. So, it's all going in a positive direction for me. And I think it's huge to look forward to the county championship, to see what kind of talent. I can't wait personally for it to start to get around, to see, to see all the games, number one, to see the competitors in the number two from each club coming out, but see what kind of young talent can be unearthed here from game to game. But across all divisions, it's going to be a really tight championship. Across all these groups is really, really tight. I mentioned Holy Cross already, but they are a team that have huge underage success. Last year, competitive in all age groups, all age groups. I've seen them many times. So it would be important for them to make sure that they can hold their Dan Breen status to allow that talent to come through and push them on. And then if you flick to the likes of McCarthy and clubs like that, or even the likes of Kilruane, it's time for them to try and push on, take a scalp, and try and get into a county quarter final, get out of group number one, obviously, and that puts you in, with a free shot for the county final. But I think of all years, especially with Saracens with losing Paddy, and I think it gives other clubs an opportunity to say, look, if we can get our ship in order, we have a fantastic chance here at a county championship. But the first game is vitally important, because you go into your next game then with confidence, rather than going in with doubts and having been beaten and try and rejig things for the second game. But when you win, you're going in with huge confidence, and you're going in with momentum into it. No matter what the challenge lies ahead, you have a win. And I think the way it's set up is brilliant. The winners play winners and losers play losers, because you're on the same playing field going into your second game. There's no one going in from playing a winner into loser. It's winner play winner, loser play loser, and I think that's the way it should be.
Great stuff, and loads there for Liam Cahill to look forward to and see what players he can unearth. Over the last few months, Colin Bonner found a few gems there for Tipp and brought him into the team. The likes of Craig Morgan in the heart of the defence, Mark Kehoe up in the forwards. So there's a lot of players like that we will see start this year, you'd imagine, because the last few years it was John McGrath, it was Paddy, it was these guys. They're all out injured at the minute. Willie Connors as well. So there's going to be new stars made in this year's championship.
Yeah, new stars made, and Dylan Quirk had a really good outing this year as well under Colin Bonner as well. Well blooded at wing back. But as I said, the under 20 team was competitive this year. So the players that come off that are up to age, I've gone over age now, will have a huge say. But to be fair to any management team looking on, they are going to have to perform. And I think, with the news that the new manager is in place, Liam Cahill is in place, and his management team be finalised, I think it'll give players an extra push on that are at that level, that are in the shop window, to put their hands up, say, hey, I want to be a part of this. And I'm sure no more than any manager or management team, that's what they want to see. They want to go, and I think it's after coming at the right time for a new manager taking over. That county championship is just about to start, and for players then that feel that they have something to offer, that blue and gold jersey, I think it's a fantastic opportunity here now, Stephen, for them. And then with Tipp gone early, I think there'll be big crowds, and I'm hoping there'll be big crowds at all these club games, because it'll give people something to look forward to, something to talk about. And I think it's going to be a fantastic championship, because, as we spoke about already, it's so even that every team nearly will feel that they have a chance of doing something. For some teams, it'll be winning the Dan Breen. For other teams, it's trying to go out a group, which is brilliant. And for other teams, like Templederry, that they're only just up, they will want to compete and maybe take a big scalp, and that would be success for them for this year.
Great stuff, James. And we'll just move briefly to look at some of the Premier Intermediate games. Friday, it's Killinall against Gortnahoe, Littleton 7:30 in Group 3. Killinall, a team that are on the up, and Gortnahoe, of course, are used to success in Semple Stadium over the past couple of years as well.
Yeah, and look, Killinall, I suppose, will be disappointed last year, beaten by Templederry on the day. Had goal chances really, Stephen, in the first half, and could have shown better in that game. They're trained by Matthew McGrath now, and by all accounts are going really well. But again, they will want to get off to a good start. Gortnahoe took a beating, so they'll be coming into the game. Killinall have more time, I suppose, after getting bet this year and coming into Gortnahoe, have a really good team out there. Rowan Tehan is really strong from them, and they have other players as well, coming up doing a lot right underage as well. It'll be important for them. They made a big breakthrough, 2 or 3 years ago, and again, it's important for them to push on, especially for the juveniles in the club, to see that the team is competing, and it's all to play for them. But again, I can't overemphasize the first game is so important to all these clubs coming into the championship.
Yeah, Saturday it's Mine against Silvermines Boris, 2:00 in Group 2. Carrick Swans against Portroe in Group 4, and Borlahan at 3 p.m. and Newport against St. Mary's 7 p.m. in Bansha. And that's a big one. North against South. St. Mary's up against Newport.
Yeah, and by all accounts, Newport probably struggling a bit this year, compared to other years. So, and in relation to St. Mary's, they're a team that are coming, Stephen, competing really strong underage now again for the last couple of years. and the likes of Peter McGarry, I think he'll be a player, for the Tipp management to have a look at. I think he's a fantastic player coming through. I had him at an under 16 level and has really pushed on since. And he still has another year to go on under 20, but was phenomenal for the under 20s this year. Long striking, free taking, excellent ball player from the middle of the field, and plays full forward for his club as well. So, you fancy St. Mary's that just because they're on a crest of a wave and doing an awful lot of things right now in the club, and club again, have really come around the management team and have performed really well. So I think they probably have a bit too much for Newport on this occasion. But Newport, a game that's there to be won as well for Sunday for both of them. I think Conor Matney stepped away, so he's a huge loss. I'm not sure if Bonnie is actually back yet. A former Tipp senior, he'd have been a huge push on to them. But I think St. Mary's are doing a lot right and will come through it.
Okay, and moving to the games on Sunday, it is Tracy's up against Burgess in Group 1 in Newport at 1 o'clock. SARS against Ballina in Toom at 1 o'clock. And in Group 4, Cashel against Clonakilty in the Rag at 1. And Roscrea against Kildown and Clockjordan 7 p.m. in Group 2 on Sunday evening. I suppose of the teams across the whole thing, you'll be looking at maybe Roscrea, Cashel, SARS are always thereabouts. Like it's a very open season in the Premier Intermediate.
It's something like the Dan Breen, really. It's a minefield because all the teams are very even. Clonakilty, you'd have to say, would have to be in the mix because they had a huge win in the mid-final and over mine, and then last year pushed Cashel the whole way, Stephen. Absolutely the whole way, and Cashel, will have been disappointed, badly beaten last year by Timilderry inside in the Rag, but overall, it's going to be really hard to call that championship. I think, again, it's the exact same as Dan Breen, really competitive. Again, the first match is important, but loads of talent on show, and really looking forward to it. Again, looking forward to all these games. It's a pity we can't get around to see them all, but massive weekend for Tipperary coming up, both Saturday and Friday night, the whole way through till Sunday. And loads on offer for people to go and see, and I'd be encouraging everyone to get out and see these games. It'll be a long time before the ball's run in intercounty again, so it gives everyone an opportunity to go and see our players.
Great stuff. We look forward to the Premier Intermediate and have a focus on that going forward. Briefly on the Intermediate, just to finish some of the games that look to be standout. Davins against Lara is on Saturday. Knockavilla and Ballynahinch, Kilcommon at 7:30 on Saturday, and then Skeena Rinky up from junior last year after winning. Connor Sweeney, Tipp football star and captain, is one of their main players, up against Boris O'Kane 12 o'clock in Borlahan on Sunday. That's an open championship. Lara probably one of the big guns there, perhaps.
Yeah, you'd have to say so. And they had a big win again the other day, and won the North really comfortably. And Ken Hogan gone back in over him, and we all know his tradition and with clubs, when he goes to them, he always brings success with them, and he has got the players and the entire club behind him again. John McIntyre was there 2 years ago, got a massive kick out of him. Last year just didn't go so well for whatever reason, and Ken has brought him all around. So you'd have to fancy Laura to come out of that, and Skinny Rinky didn't, brilliant for them to come up, but they could find this difficult because there's a lot of good quality teams in there. And for me, Laura are probably the standout. If they can keep pushing on, I think they'd be a really hard bet in this.
Great stuff. Woody, I'm on commentary with you Saturday evening for Boris against Sarsfields. And this weekend, I suppose the thing is just everybody get out, enjoy a game, watch it on the stream as well.
Yeah, why not? The weather is good. Most GAA fields you go to now, there's going to be a club game in you, so there's no excuses. Get out and see them, and get out and see the talent that's on view as well. You know what I mean? And look, if you can't get out, there's loads of streaming. It's on the radio as well for people to go and see. But our intercounty season for our seniors has been over a while now, and people just can't wait for this. I expect huge crowds at all these games because everybody, Stephen, in whatever division you talk about, will feel that they have an opportunity here to compete, and they do have. But the first game again is vitally important, and roll on the second game then, and it's a massive 6 weeks really for every club here because it defines your season. And look, we've been waiting long enough, or the club players have been waiting long enough. They had their holidays or whatever it is, but the first game would always give you a barometer of where teams are, and you can say whatever you want up to now, but it's all about championship. Or whatever happened in the league, championship is all about championship, and getting results in the first game is vitally important.
Great stuff, Woody. We'll just finish by asking you, where's the cup now, and where can people see the cup or get their hands on it for a photo?
Yeah, well, actually, the both cups, the most final cup and All Ireland final cup is going around with Conor Bowe. He's working for Pfizer, so he's taking them around to all the camps, let's say, the cool camps from Monday to Friday, and then over the weekends, it's either taken by players or clubs that request them. And it'll be in Galway races on Monday. We're taking it to Galway races on Monday for big function up there for Tipp GAA. So both cups will be heading to Galway on Monday. But other than that, it's doing the rounds with cool camps for the summer, Steve.
Brilliant stuff, Woody. Many thanks for joining me today on Tipp GAA TV. I'm Stephen Gleeson. Hope you enjoyed this show here this evening. We're looking forward to a brilliant weekend of hurling, and thanks for watching, and we'll chat soon and watch again soon. Thanks. Bye for now.